Let me show you something. See how beautifully, easily that closed? Let me do it again. Just the gentlest push. For 8 years, I've had to slam this door. I've had to brute force it because it was never aligned properly. And I finally got down to number 75,269 on my list of things to do since I bought this place. And I fixed this. I was thinking about making a video of how I was doing this, but by the time I thought of that, it was almost done. But then I realized what I should do is make a video about what's behind this, the skill for me to do this. It's my father. He taught me carpentry when I was so young. My great-grandfather was a master carpenter back in Europe. And the skill was transferred from father to son, and to me, all from word of mouth. And the way that I did this is what inspired this idea of showing you. Is I did it with odds and ends and scraps, and I'm shoring up what was not good, and doing so with old materials. I'm using recycled wood from my deck that I redid last year. And this is old pressure treated wood that I exchanged for hardwood from my forest. And instead of discarding that old pressure treated wood, I stored it in a stack underneath the restored deck. And this is the perfect use for it, because I'm eventually going to redo this again, which may seem illogical. Why am I doing it twice? Because this was an easy job that I did in a couple of hours. And this will last for many years, maybe 10 years, maybe more. And that gives me lots of time to get rid of other things off my to-do list and get back to this someday. And I will probably actually redo this entire support, the lower area of the veranda, which you probably can't see. I'll just do a close-up, and exchange that for brick or stone, maybe field stone. That would be cool. But for now, it's fixed. And I did it with scraps, and I did it with almost no tools. I did it with a square and a measuring tape and a couple of hammers and crowbars and a handsaw and nothing else. Scraps of old wood and ingenuity. My father taught me when I was so young about how to make sure that a door is good. It's actually considered one of the most difficult skills in carpentry, is hanging a door properly. I'm going to do this again just because it feels so good. Beautiful. The point is, it's perfect now. And I didn't even need a level. You may have noticed that I didn't include a level in my list of tools, because if you really know what you're doing with the hanging doors, you don't need a level. You need the intuition. You need the experience. And it's important that I was taught when I was so young. This is the key with any great skill. And it seems that my father knew this, because everything that he taught me and everything that I learned was always at a young age. I was in the music academy, the conservatory, at age 5. I actually started my music training before I began kindergarten, which is a little bit of a conundrum because he never approved of me making my living as a musician. But hey, go figure. At any rate, what I wanted to talk about now, this is all just a segue to what I really wanted to talk about, is something that just came to me as I was finishing this, and I started to think, maybe I'll make a video about this because I thought of him. He's been dead for 1.5 years now. And my thoughts turn to him so often now. We had such a complicated relationship. It's actually a stretch to call it a relationship at all. But at any rate, one of the things that always troubled me was how he was so disinterested in my life beyond a certain age. I would have to guess and say that it was probably... there you go. I was 9. I know that because, and this is what I was thinking about after I thought of making this video, is I realized that he became not so much disinterested as overextended, because I realize now that he saw his relationship with me as mentor. He was my mentor and nothing more. And I didn't realize it until moments ago before I started shooting this video. Almost 50 years later, after this change happened in our relationship, that he just ran out of things to teach me. The last thing that he taught me, and that's how I just realized that I was 9, is how to play chess. And after a few days, he couldn't beat me anymore. And that was it. Suddenly, all of the teaching of anything stopped. It's unfortunate, but I guess it kind of makes sense because he was, and this is the lesson, this is what I really wanted to share with you, is if you find yourself in the role of a parent or a mentor in any other way, if you hit that brick wall where you no longer have any knowledge to share, or the student has exceeded the teacher, as it were, with me and him, don't keep it a secret. Because you see, what happened to me is when we hit that brick wall, from my perspective, he just suddenly stopped caring about me. That's all I saw. All I saw was this father who taught me and guided me and shared everything with me until one day when it all stopped and he actually became disdainful. Maybe that's why he didn't approve of me becoming successful in the music industry. And there's a great lesson in that with others that I know, both living and now deceased, who were victims of that very same thing. Jealousy of their own children. There's something really wrong with that. I'm not going to go there. All I wanted to say is this, and that is that it's not just, now that I think about it, it's not just about being in that role of parent or mentor. It's any situation where you run into that brick wall and have run out of resources to share or knowledge, whatever it may be. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep it a secret. Let the other person or persons know exactly what's going on with you so that they don't come to the wrong conclusion and think that you've withdrawn because you suddenly don't care about them anymore, or any other reason that they come up with because it fits their criteria best. If you leave it up to someone's imagination, what are the odds that they're going to arrive at that one and only circumstance that happens to fit your reasoning? Particularly if they don't know what's behind your decision. I did not know, especially at age 9, that suddenly my father had nothing left to offer me, which, by the way, he was wrong about, because it wasn't until shortly before his death, in one of our final conversations, that he shared with me that in his youth, back in the mountaintop village that my parents both came from in the former Yugoslavia, he was a beekeeper. And he never even told me that until shortly before his death. And how I wish that he would have shared that with me when I was young. And he could have taught me all of the things that he learned, all of the tricks that he gained from whoever taught him, and whatever he came up with on his own. Now that's gone forever. And he did not share it with me, even though it's painfully clear to me now, looking back, that the hypothesis I just shared with you, that he suddenly became, let's call it, distant from me after teaching me chess. And he was wrong. There was more he could have shared with me. There was more he could have taught me, but his pride got in the way. And it led to such a powerful misunderstanding between us. I did not know. I just thought that suddenly he didn't like me anymore, especially because he became increasingly abusive after that. I guess it was resentment. And I've seen that in other relationships that I've observed. Especially with another dead father, not of mine, but my former best friend, who's gone now. And there are so many parallels between my father and him. So, that's it.